Let's cut the fluff right now. You weren't born to be liked. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't put on this earth to follow traditions made by people who were scared of growth. You were born into a system, maybe broken, maybe poor, maybe weak, but systems are made to be destroyed. Your last name, it doesn't mean anything yet. You carry the weight of ancestors who settled, who played it safe, who died invisible. That's not your story. You're not here to extend their legacy. You're here to end it and build your own. You're not a reflection of the past. You're the storm that rewrites it. If no one in your family's ever built something, good. If no one's ever escaped the cycle, even better. That means you're it. You're not here to play along. You're here to burn the whole thing down and rebuild from scratch. Because the world doesn't need another copy. It needs a fucking disruption. You are not a continuation. You are the disruption. The truth is, most people are just echoes of what came before them. They inherit the beliefs of their parents, the habits of their surroundings, the fears of a broken system. They wake up, follow a script, live quietly, die insignificantly. But you were never built for that. You were never meant to walk a path that someone else carved in mediocrity. You were made to rip the entire script in half and write a new one. One so brutal and so different that it doesn't just break tradition, it ends it. You're not here to extend the legacy of weakness. You're here to end it. You're the glitch in your family tree. The one with eyes too focused, too intense, too alive to be normal. The one who looks around and doesn't see comfort, only lies, only masks, only people pretending they're okay with less. But you're not. You're not okay with it. You feel that tension every morning when you look in the mirror, like something inside you is screaming that this can't be all there is. You weren't put on this earth to work 9 to 5, drink on weekends, and hope something magical happens. You're the disruption that burns that system to the ground. You're not a slow improvement of what came before. You're the end of that version entirely. Your last name might come from generations of men who settled, but it ends with you. You weren't born to continue. You were born to become the reason it all changed. You were born to become the reason generations from now people will ask, what happened in that bloodline? And the answer will be your name. You're not another average chapter in a boring story. You're the page where the book catches fire, and the people around you won't understand it. They'll feel uncomfortable with you. They'll try to shrink you down because if you win, they have no excuse to lose. That's the price you pay when you're the disruption. When you stop following, people don't see it as strength, they see it as a threat. And that's fine. Let them fear you. Let them laugh now, because they're temporary, and you're building forever. Your life isn't a continuation of pain, poverty, or low standards unless you choose it to be. Your environment isn't your identity. Your past isn't your prison. You were born in fire. Now walk through it. It's on you to unlearn what they taught you. Break the loop. Burn the comfort. Bury the weak version of your name. Every second you're not evolving, you're surrendering. The world doesn't wait for permission, and neither should you. People will say, that's just how we've always done it. That sentence alone is why they're broke, why they're unhealthy, why they're forgettable. That's not your story. You are not them. You are not a reflection of where you came from. You are the explosion that changes where it all goes. That kind of mindset, it won't win you friends, but it'll build empires. You'll be alone for a while. You'll question if it's worth it. But isolation is the forge of legacy. In that silence, in that rejection, in that fire, you'll build something nobody around you's ever seen. Not a better version of them, a completely different being. That's your duty. That's your role. That's why you woke up again today. Not to continue, to disrupt. Legacy is built through obsession, not balance. Balance is for people who plan to stay average. Balance is for people who want just enough money, enough health, enough happiness, but not enough to disrupt anything. You want greatness? Balance won't take you there. Obsession will. You need to be consumed, possessed by a goal so powerful it makes people around you uncomfortable. While they talk about mental health as an excuse to slack, you build resilience through suffering. While they spend time scrolling, you spend time building. They want peace, you want war, because you know war creates kings. The man who builds a legacy doesn't clock out. He doesn't count the hours, he counts the results. He's the last one working and the first one moving. Not because it's cool, but because there's no other option. If it doesn't eat you alive, you won't survive the climb. You won't carry your family name through the gates of greatness on soft habits and casual focus. You need an obsession that breaks your own limits. Something so deep in your veins that even when you're tired, you go again. You'll hear the world tell you to take breaks, to rest, to enjoy the moment. That's what people who want you to slow down say when they see you getting closer. Let them talk. They can keep balance, you'll keep the throne. You won't build legacy by watching Netflix, attending every birthday party, or taking a break from the grind. The grind is your oxygen. Your purpose isn't something you visit, it's where you live. The people who win, who rewrite history, who transform bloodlines, they're not remembered because they were balanced. They're remembered because they were obsessed. They were all in. No safety net, no plan B. Burn the boats and conquer or die trying. That's the energy it takes. You can't tiptoe toward greatness. You sprint toward it with bleeding feet and broken bones and a smile on your face. Your family, your future, your name, none of it rises on part-time intensity. Obsession creates power. It creates separation. It creates the kind of man people study and write about. The kind who doesn't just win once. He wins so big, it echoes beyond his life. He sacrifices youth for power, sleep for progress, comfort for domination. He's not looking for support, he's looking for results. And that means while others rest, you move. While others balance, you tilt the entire table in your direction. Because you know deep down there's no room for moderation when you're trying to become the greatest in your bloodline. You don't want average returns. You want to build a name so heavy it changes your entire lineage. That doesn't come through rest. That comes through fire, through chaos, through full immersion. You want to lead? Be obsessed. You want to conquer? Be relentless. You want to change the narrative of your name forever? Then forget balance. Marry the mission. Let it consume you. Let it change how you think, how you act, how you breathe. Because when you're obsessed, nothing survives. Not doubt, not fear, not limitation. Obsession is the tool of the chosen. It's the fuel of kings. And if you want legacy, you don't get there with balance. You get there by burning every ounce of weakness out of your system, until nothing's left but a machine built for war. Weak men inherit pain. Strong men transform it into power. Pain is passed down like an invisible disease. It moves silently through generations, infecting the mind before it ever touches the body. The pain of not being enough, of watching dreams die in silence, of seeing a father shrink under pressure or a mother cry behind closed doors. That pain doesn't just disappear. It sinks into your DNA. It becomes the way you think, the way you breathe, the way you react when life gets hard. Weak men inherit that pain and wear it like a weight. They carry it into every decision, every failure, every excuse. They let it control them. They make it their identity. They say, this is just how I am, because their father was the same, and his father before that. So they stay stuck, repeating a script they never had the courage to question. Weak men don't change anything. They accept the pain and live inside it like it's home. Strong men do something different. They don't pretend pain doesn't exist. They feel every ounce of it. But they use it. They turn it into fuel. They take the nights they cried alone and turn them into mornings of relentless action. They take the abandonment, the betrayal, the rejection, and use it to sharpen their focus like a blade. Because they understand one thing: pain is only a prison if you let it be. Otherwise, it's a forge. It's the heat that transforms soft metal into steel. It's the pressure that turns coal into diamond. Strong men walk through fire and come out with power, not scars. They don't inherit excuses. They inherit pain and convert it into discipline, intensity, purpose. They don't run from it. They chase it. They hunt down their demons one by one and kill them. Because they know if they don't, those demons will live on through their children. You weren't born into perfect circumstances, and that's the point. That's the advantage. Weak men would complain about it, use it as a reason to quit before they start. But you use it as the reason to go harder. The reason to build something so powerful that your kids won't even recognize the world you came from. Strong men don't wait for healing. They create it. With every rep, with every late night, with every moment of discipline, they build a future from the broken bricks of their past. They take the same pain that destroyed generations and use it as the reason to destroy mediocrity. And that's how legacy is built, not by avoiding pain, but by mastering it. You think your childhood makes you weak? It made you dangerous. If you can survive it, you can weaponize it. You just have to stop running from it. Look pain in the face, let it harden you. Let it remind you every day of what you refuse to become. And in doing so, you'll become something no one in your bloodline has ever seen. Not another victim, not another statistic, but the one who turned inherited pain into generational power. Comfort is the cage. Escape it or die inside it. Comfort is the silent killer of potential. It feels good, but it rots you slowly. It makes you soft without you noticing. It lulls you to sleep while your goals bleed out quietly in the background. You don't wake up one day broke, weak, forgotten. You ease into it. One comfortable choice at a time. One skipped workout. One excuse. One lazy night scrolling instead of building. That's the cage. It doesn't have bars, it has pleasure. Convenience. Cheap dopamine. The cage isn't something you see, it's something you feel once it's too late. Once the fire is gone and all that's left is numbness. Most men will die in that cage. They'll spend their lives looking for comfort, and comfort will bury them. Because comfort feels like success, but it's the opposite. It's the reward you give yourself when you haven't earned it. It's the voice that says you've done enough when you haven't even started. It's the lie that says you need rest, when what you really need is discipline. The ones who chase comfort never chase greatness. You can't have both. Comfort is the enemy of growth, of power, of evolution. You grow when it hurts, you evolve when it burns, and that means running from comfort every single day, seeking discomfort like it's your next breath, going to war with the part of you that wants to slow down. That part of you wants to kill your mission, kill your ambition, kill your legacy, and you can't negotiate with it, you destroy it. Escaping the cage means doing what's uncomfortable over and over again until it becomes your new normal, until the idea of living soft disgusts you, until you're addicted to pain more than you were ever addicted to ease, because that's where power is built. Not in comfort, but in chaos, in stress, in tension. You think the greats live balanced, stress-free lives? They live in war zones, mentally, emotionally, and that's why they rise. That's why their name means something. They chose pressure, they chose discomfort, they chose the cage breaker's path, and you have that same choice. Every morning, you either press snooze or you rise early. You either push your limits or you stay in the safe zone. You either sharpen your mind with pain or dull it with comfort. There is no middle, no compromise. The cage isn't physical, it's psychological. It's built out of your choices. And every time you choose comfort, the cage gets stronger. But every time you choose discomfort, you bend the bars. You weaken the lock. You step closer to freedom. The truth is, most men aren't weak because they were born that way. They're weak because they were never willing to suffer. They never broke the cage. They chased the life that felt good, instead of the life that meant something. But you're different, or you wouldn't be reading this. You're here because something inside you knows there's more. Something inside you is sick of the cage. Good. Use that. Let it drive you into discomfort. Let it force you to do the hard thing every single time. And keep doing it until comfort becomes the enemy and suffering becomes your ally. Because the men who change their bloodline don't live in comfort. They destroy it. You were born behind, so act like it. You weren't handed anything. No shortcuts, no handouts, no soft cushions to fall back on. You didn't grow up with the luxury of safety nets. You didn't start life on the 50-yard line. You were born behind, at the bottom, already playing catch-up before you even knew what the game was. But that's not your weakness. That's your edge. That's the fire in your stomach. That's the hunger in your eyes when others are satisfied with scraps. The moment you realize you were born behind is the moment you stop expecting fairness, stop waiting for balance, start moving like a man who knows he's got to take everything or die trying. It's the moment you adopt urgency, intensity, violence in your mission. Because when you're behind, there's no time for whining, for doubt, for hesitating. Every second counts. Every decision matters. Every move is war. You don't get the luxury of second chances. You don't have room to fall back. You fall once, it might be over. So you train harder, you think deeper, you execute with cold precision. You learn faster than anyone else because you have to. There's no choice. The pain you felt, the losses you've endured, the things you never got, they gave you something most people will never taste. They gave you urgency. They gave you purpose. They gave you reason to go further than anyone who started ahead of you. And it's funny because the ones who had it easy will always move slower. They'll always wait, always assume life will give them more. They feel entitled. You feel pressure. They expect success. You earn it. And because you were born behind, you build something inside of you they'll never understand. A level of grit, of resilience, of rage that turns you into a machine. You're not soft because life never gave you a pillow. You're sharp, you're brutal, you're relentless. And that's what makes you dangerous. That's why the ones who start behind often end up miles ahead. Not because they're more talented, not because they're smarter, but because they were forced to adapt, to evolve, to become obsessed while everyone else was still playing games. You need to remember that every day, every time you wake up and the world feels too heavy, every time someone who started with more tries to intimidate you, you remind yourself you weren't born equal, but that's the reason you'll surpass them. Because you had to fight, because you had to starve, because you had to figure it out, or fade into nothing. That kind of man doesn't lose. That kind of man doesn't fold. That kind of man doesn't stop until his name is carved in history. If you're behind, good. Now use it. Use it to fuel a level of action no one can match. Use it to grind when others sleep. Use it to build skill at a pace that makes people wonder if you're even human. The clock is ticking. The world doesn't care where you started, but it will remember where you finish. Discipline isn't a skill, it's a weapon. Discipline isn't something you learn like a hobby. It's not something you practice when it's convenient. It's not a tool in your back pocket. It's the blade you carry with you at all times. It's the sharp edge that cuts through every excuse, every weakness, every emotion that tries to hold you back. People who think discipline is a skill think they can turn it on and off. But the ones who truly dominate, the ones who reshape their entire bloodline, they know discipline is who you become. It's a lifestyle, a religion, a warpath. And if you don't treat it like that, you lose. Every time you skip the reps, every time you choose comfort, every time you listen to your feelings instead of your mission, you dull the weapon, you lower the standard, you step closer to the version of you that never breaks out. Discipline isn't about motivation. Motivation is a weak spark. Discipline is the flame that burns, no matter how cold it gets. Motivation dies when you're tired. Discipline rises when you're exhausted. Motivation disappears in pain. Discipline thrives in it. Discipline is what makes you train on the days your body aches. It's what makes you show up when no one's watching. It's what makes you keep building when the world tells you you're wasting your time. The men who win long-term are the men who treat discipline like life or death. Because it is. Your success, your legacy, your bloodline's future, all of it is hanging on your ability to do what needs to be done, not what you feel like doing. And if you think discipline is optional, then greatness is optional too. Every morning you wake up, you either sharpen the weapon or you dull it. You either execute or you excuse. You either move like a soldier or crawl like a civilian. That choice, repeated over and over, is what separates kings from pawns. You can't afford to be undisciplined. Not when you're building something this big. Not when you're trying to become the greatest in your bloodline. Because without discipline, your talent means nothing. Your potential means nothing. Your dreams mean nothing. You can have every reason to win, but if you don't have discipline, you'll watch it all burn while you make excuses from the ashes. But when you carry discipline like a weapon, nothing stops you. You become the kind of man who can walk through fire and still build in the middle of the flames. You become the kind of man who doesn't flinch when life punches back. You become dangerous, because no matter what happens, you'll still execute, you'll still rise, you'll still win. And you know what's even more powerful than being disciplined when it's hard? Being disciplined when it's easy, when everything's going right, and you still keep the pressure high. When most men would coast, you grind. That's how you stay lethal. That's how you build a legacy that doesn't fade. Because you weren't operating from emotion. You weren't reacting to conditions. You were building with intention. And that's the difference between men who are remembered and men who are forgotten. Discipline is your edge. Discipline is your protection. Discipline is your proof that no matter how far behind you started, you're not stopping until your name becomes the reason your entire family walks different. Treat it like a weapon. Sharpen it daily. And carry it like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your name becomes valuable the moment you sacrifice who you are for who you must become. The version of you that exists right now is not the one that's going to lead your bloodline to greatness. The version of you that sleeps in, that scrolls aimlessly, that hesitates before action, that version needs to die. Not later, not gradually, but now. You want your name to mean something, to carry weight, to echo beyond your life. then understand this. Names are not born valuable, they are made valuable through sacrifice. The only way you level up is by letting go of who you are. The lazy thoughts, the cheap habits, the emotional decisions, they're chains disguised as comfort. You've been carrying around the same patterns your ancestors passed down, and most of them didn't serve you. Most of them were built to survive, not dominate. So now you've got to choose. Stay the same and stay forgotten, or kill the old you and rise into something unrecognizable. You won't reach the next level with the same mindset you started with. The habits that got you here won't get you there. You can't be half transformed. You either commit to becoming the monster required to carry your name to glory, or you get left behind in mediocrity. The transformation is brutal. It demands ego death. It demands isolation. It demands you look in the mirror and say, this version isn't enough. And that's a hard truth, because most people are too in love with their identity to outgrow it. They want results but refuse to release the behaviors keeping them weak. But your name, your legacy, your future family depends on one thing: your ability to sacrifice comfort for greatness, emotion for execution, who you are for who you must become. You won't be understood. You'll be judged. You'll be questioned by people who never had the guts to evolve. Let them talk. They'll still be explaining their failures while you're living what they called impossible. When you sacrifice your current self, you step into a version of you who makes impact without speaking, who commands rooms with silence, who walks like a storm because every step is backed by purpose. This is where your name starts to rise in value. When people hear it and feel pressure, when your presence becomes a reminder of what's possible, when people can't ignore you anymore because your discipline is louder than their noise. The world doesn't care about your potential, it cares about your transformation. Your name becomes legendary when you've earned the right to carry it with pride, when everything you touch reflects the pain, the grind, the evolution you went through. And that kind of name is built in silence, in private, in years of relentless self-destruction and rebuilding. You don't get it from applause, you get it from sacrifice. The weak version of you must die. The soft voice in your head must be silenced. The comfort-seeking coward inside must be buried beneath reps, rituals, and ruthless standards. Every decision, every choice, every action, all of it must serve the new identity, not the version that was born, the version that was built. So the question is, how badly do you want your name to mean something? How far are you willing to go? Because your future bloodline won't remember who you are now. They'll remember the version you chose to become, the one that took everything average, everything broken, everything forgotten, and turned it into excellence.
If your bloodline is cursed, you're the cure. Curses aren't always some dark magic. Sometimes they're just patterns. Poverty, addiction, weakness, mediocrity. Patterns repeated for so long that they become identity. You're not just fighting for money or status, you're fighting against everything that's held your family back for generations. That's what a bloodline curse looks like. The silent hand that guides your father's temper, your uncle's drinking, your cousin's failures. It lives in bad choices, broken homes, wasted potential, and it doesn't end unless someone is strong enough to say not anymore. That someone is you. You weren't placed in that family by accident. You weren't born into that chaos for no reason. You were born there because you're built to fix it. You're not just a man, you're the cure. The moment you understand this is the moment your life becomes war. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're breaking the curse. Every time you level up your mindset, you're rewriting history. Every time you refuse to quit, even when it's hard, even when no one claps for you, you're becoming the medicine your family never had. You think your pain is personal, it's generational, and so is your healing. That's what makes this mission different. This isn't about you, this is about the kids you haven't had yet, the cousins who are watching you, the future that's waiting for a man, bold enough to take all the broken pieces and build something unbreakable. Curses get passed when no one fights back, when everyone accepts the limits and justifies the pain. But you've seen it, you've felt it, and now it's time to destroy it. That means sacrifice. That means discomfort. That means waking up every day like you're behind enemy lines. Because you are. The enemy is every voice in your head telling you you're just like the rest. The enemy is every habit pulling you back into weakness. And you don't defeat that enemy with half effort. You beat it with obsession, with action, with a mindset so clear and sharp that nothing around you can dull it. You need to walk different, think different, move different. While your past tries to pull you down, you build a new future in defiance. You'll have days where it feels like the curse is winning. You'll have nights where you question if you're really the one who's supposed to change it all. That's normal. That's part of the process. Just don't stop. Because every curse has a cure, and it's never found in comfort. It's found in the man who decides enough is enough. The man who studies the pain, understands it, then rises above it. Not with noise, with results. You want to be the one they remember? Then you have to be the one who fights the battles they were too scared to face. You have to feel the pressure of responsibility and wear it like armor. Not because you asked for it, but because you were chosen for it. Some men are meant to break the cycle. Some men are meant to absorb the weight of the past and forge something powerful out of it. That's you. Not because you're better, but because you're willing. So stop looking at your past like it's a chain. Start looking at it like a challenge. You've seen the worst, now build the best. You've felt the weight, now carry it into war. And never forget, when your family's name finally starts to shift, when people stand taller because of your actions, when your last name becomes a weapon instead of a wound, it won't be because the curse vanished. It'll be because you showed up and became the cure.
Pressure is a privilege. Only kings feel the weight of destiny. Most people run from pressure. They see it as a burden, as stress, as something to avoid. But pressure is the clearest signal that your life matters, that what you do carries weight, that your decisions actually influence the future. Pressure doesn't visit the weak, the forgotten, the ones who coast through life with no mission. Pressure shows up when you're on the edge of something bigger than yourself. It's the price of potential. It's the tax you pay when you dare to carry your bloodline forward. And if you're feeling that weight, good. It means you're not average. It means you've got something to protect, something to prove, something to build that the world isn't ready for. The ones who wear crowns didn't ask for an easy life. They didn't ask for comfort. They accepted the weight. They walked with it. They trained with it. They let it shape them into something most men will never understand. You feel it in your chest when you wake up. That fire, that anxiety, that intensity. It's not a weakness. It's destiny knocking. It's the voice that says, you've got work to do. And the truth is, you don't have the luxury of playing small. Your name doesn't allow it. Your bloodline can't afford it. You weren't chosen to live easy. You were chosen to carry a weight so heavy, it would snap most people in half. But not you. You weren't made to collapse. You were made to rise through it. And every time you feel that pressure, that internal war between comfort and responsibility, it's a test. A chance to prove you belong to the 1% of men who don't back down, who don't flinch, who don't fold when the mission gets hard. People will envy your results, but they'll never understand the weight you carry. They'll see the outcomes, but never the internal pressure you endure, just to stay in the fight. And that's fine. Let them watch. Let them wonder how you keep going when everything says quit. Let them try to mimic the moves, but never touch the mindset. Because pressure doesn't make you weaker, it makes you sharper. It chisels you down to the real version of you. The one underneath all the layers of weakness and insecurity. The one who doesn't wait for approval, who doesn't hesitate, who doesn't doubt. Pressure forces that version out. And when you embrace it, when you make it your ally instead of your enemy, you become untouchable. Most people think pressure is something you escape when you get rich, when you get strong, when you succeed. They don't realize the pressure never ends. It just evolves. It gets heavier, more complex, more brutal. But the kings who rise to power are the ones who build their body, mind, and soul to carry it. Not avoid it, not pray for it to go away, but walk into it head first and say, put more on me, I'll carry it. That's how legacies are forged. That's how men become more than men. That's how names outlive lifetimes. So if you feel pressure, good. Now use it. Use it to drive every rep, every choice, every action, because pressure is a signal that you're playing the right game. And only kings feel the weight of destiny. Becoming the greatest means killing every version of yourself that settles. The biggest threat to your greatness isn't failure, it's comfort. It's the version of you that whispers, this is good enough. The one that settles for average, that clings to safety, that flinches when the pain gets real. That's the enemy, and that version of you has to die. Not once, not twice, but every single day. You kill it in your decisions. You kill it in the gym. You kill it in your focus, your standards, your execution. Because every time you settle, every time you ease up, every time you negotiate with the lesser version of yourself, you delay your legacy. You poison your mission. You weaken your name. And if you keep doing it long enough, you become that version permanently. And once that happens, your bloodline loses its shot at change. You can't build greatness on top of weakness. You have to burn the whole thing down. You have to murder the soft voice in your head that tells you it's okay to take a break. The one that justifies skipping the hard stuff. The one that talks about balance and peace when you know deep down your war isn't over. That voice is not your friend. That voice is not protecting you. That voice is killing you slowly. And the only way to win is to destroy it. Not with talk, with action. Ruthless, consistent, disciplined action that leaves no room for softness. You don't rise by chance. You rise by execution. You rise by making sure the version of you that settles never gets to breathe again. That means choosing violence over comfort. Not physical violence, internal, mental. The kind that demands more of you when you think you've already done enough. The kind that doesn't let you sleep peacefully unless every task was completed, every weakness faced, every excuse crushed. That's the mindset required. That's the inner code of the greats. They don't tolerate the parts of themselves that settle. They kill them. They burn them out with repetition and pressure and purpose. They look themselves in the mirror and say, you're not allowed to be weak anymore. And they back it up with results. You need to start looking at every version of yourself that settles like a traitor. A threat to your family. A threat to your name. A threat to your name. A threat to the future you're building. Because it is. Settling isn't just harmless. It's destructive. It's the first step toward regret. The first step toward becoming just like everyone else. And you weren't made to be like everyone else. You were made to dominate, to disrupt, to become a story worth telling long after you're gone. But you don't get there by keeping old habits. You get there by killing them, mercilessly. No hesitation, no apologies. There will be days when you'll feel like slowing down. Days when the vision feels far, the progress feels slow, the world feels too heavy. And that's exactly when the old version of you will show up. It'll whisper, it'll offer you comfort, it'll try to get you to relax. That's the battle, that's the moment. And you either destroy that version with discipline, or it destroys you with softness. There is no draw, one of you dies. And if you let the weaker version live, the greatest version never gets to be born. So this is your mission now. A daily execution of identity. A ruthless rebirth every time weakness tries to creep back in. You keep sharpening, you keep pushing, you keep leveling up, until the only version of you that remains is the one the world can't ignore. The one who can't be broken, can't be outworked, can't be stopped. That's how you become the greatest in your bloodline. Not by talking about it, not by dreaming about it, but by killing every version of yourself that dares to settle, and building a new one out of fire, focus, and pain. Here's the truth nobody wants to tell you. No one's coming to save you. No one's gonna hand you greatness. You either build it brick by brick through pain, sacrifice, and execution, or you don't. That version of you that sleeps in, makes excuses, softens when life gets hard, he's not your friend, he's your enemy. And until you kill him, you'll never see who you really are. This mission isn't about progress, it's about rebirth. Daily, ruthlessly. You want to be remembered? Then do what most men can't even imagine. Bury the weak version of yourself every day and walk like a man who knows he's all in. This is your war now. Your legacy doesn't begin when you make it. It begins the moment you refuse to settle. So decide now. Do you want to be another forgotten name or the one who changed everything?